everybody. I'm nervous, particularly because I, for the first time ever, have notes on a phone, not something that I normally do. So please bear with me if things go awry. I hope they won't. It's really wonderful to be here in this space. I'm grateful that you're all here. I'm grateful that Rabbi Deb made space in this Tisha B'Av service to mourn the tragic loss of life in our Alameda County Jail, Santa Rita Jail. Soon we'll chant the names of 64 individuals known to have died in or from incarceration at Santa Rita since 2014. That's equivalent to one death every 6.5 weeks. They died by suicide, homicide, neglect, or combinations of these. We grieve their loss and proclaim that their lives and their deaths have value. They matter. One of the dead is Maurice Monk, found dead at his Santa Rita jail cell on November 21st, 2021. He was 45 years old. Officially, he died of natural causes. His family blames callous neglect by jail personnel who failed to see that he received the medications he needed to survive. Medications for diabetes, hypertension, and long-standing, well-documented schizophrenia. He died despite frantic efforts, repeated and frantic efforts by his sister to break through the bureaucracy surrounding the jail and try to make sure that he was getting the medications he needed. And they failed. She and the family failed. The sheriff, who was also Alameda County's coroner, refuses to release the autopsy findings. The Sheriff's Department is responsible for the safety and care of the men and women who are confined in Santa Rita Jail. By recent counts, the daily population of Santa Rita is about 2,100 people. Most of these, as Deb said, are there for low-level offenses related to mental illness, substance use disorder, homelessness, and poverty. 30% of the people at Santa Rita have severe and persistent mental illness. 90% are awaiting sentencing. Courts can take weeks, months, or years to resolve cases. Santa Rita cells are filled with those who qualify for release on bail but can't afford to pay it. Its racial makeup is overwhelmingly Black and Latinx. Notably, although Blacks comprise only 10%, less than 10% actually, of the Alameda County population, they account for 49% of its jail population. Think about that. That's half the jail population is made up of Black people. Notably, never mind, that's notable. That's more than notable. Maurice Monk fits this profile. A Black man, he'd been charged with a misdemeanor stemming from an argument with a bus driver who asked that he pull up his mask on the bus. According to his sister, he became panicky from wearing a mask. He had 2 children, worked as a security guard and volunteer coach, and had only 1 prior arrest years before in his 20s. Yet when he missed a court appearance, the DA asked that bail be set at $2,500 and opposed reducing it when the family was unable to pay. Mr. Monk had been in Santa Rita 1 month awaiting resolution of the charges when he died. He should never have been there. Maurice Monk's family has filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against Alameda County. This suit comes on the heels of the recent settlement of a major federal class action suit against the county, the notorious Babu case, which is focused on the jail's mistreatment of detainees with mental illness. There were several court-appointed experts who toured Santa Rita Jail during the hearings for this case, and documented the policies in place and the conditions they found. And it is painful to read those reports. They describe systematic abuses and human rights violations, including failure to provide needed treatment, overuse of isolation for people in suicidal crises, and insufficient out-of-time cell for everyone. The settlement mandates welcome reforms inside the jail, but it does not challenge the misguided policies and funding priorities that perpetuate the mass incarceration of our most vulnerable community members. The County Board of Supervisors bears responsibility for swelling jail funding while disregarding the vast need for affordable housing and community-based mental health services. The DA and the courts share responsibility for perpetuating racist and discriminatory charging, bail, and sentencing policies. As taxpayers and deeply concerned citizens, we can and must demand change, beginning with the votes we cast in November. Remember, the DA is on the ballot, as is the District 3 Alameda County Supervisor. We'll be hearing more about that. Maurice Monk did not deserve jail time, and withholding his psychiatric medications likely contributed to his death. Keep in mind that he is only one of 64 to die in Santa Rita since 2014, and one of the very few whose stories have become public. The sheriff continues to resist a transparent accounting of the jail deaths, even to grieving families. But there is little doubt that the jail's well-documented culture of cruelty was directly or indirectly responsible for most of the deaths. 2 years ago, Rabbi David composed a statement to be read aloud to the Alameda County Board of Supervisors on behalf of Kehilla's spiritual leadership team and its congregants. It read in part, in chapter 42 of the book of Isaiah, the prophet verbalizes a direction fundamental to Jewish theology. I will keep you and will make you to be a covenant for the people and a light for the nations, to free captives from prison and to release from the dungeon those who sit in darkness. Rabbi David continues, this does not mean that we are to release every person incarcerated, but we are forbidden to allow people to languish in prison when there is no reason to do so. End quote. Mental illness, substance use disorders, and homelessness are not reasons for incarceration. Neither is poverty or being Black, Indigenous, or person of color. We long for the day when reason and justice prevail in our criminal legal system, but the death and inhumane treatment must end now. Incarceration in Santa Rita should not be a death sentence, not for anyone. Let us pray and act for change. There is a handout available on the table about the work of Kehilla committees that are working on social justice in our communities. Economic Justice Committee, the Homeless Action Committee, and the Immigration Committee. So please take a look at that handout. And there's also a newsletter that just talks about the jail amazing and moving vigil and protest that the Interfaith Coalition for Justice in Our Jails organized with other community activists on May 24th in front of the Board of Supervisors. So please help yourself to those materials, and thank you again for taking the time to listen to this painful teaching.